Hey, what's up? Welcome back to Table of Entrepreneurs. Listen, man, I got one of my dear friends here with me today. I've known this man for many, many years. Matter of fact, I told y'all I got into life insurance years ago. This is the guy who helped me get into that, who put me on. So, Yamil, what's up, man? How's everything going?
Hey, doing good, man. How's everything doing for you?
And chilling, steady trying to build and steady trying to grow. Yo, for y'all that don't know, because I'm sure y'all don't, man, literally, I called this dude yesterday. I was like, hey, bro, like, can I interview you, put you on the channel? He's like, sure. He's like, just go to my calendar, schedule a date and a time, and then we'll go from there. I went on the calendar, I saw availability for today, and I was like, boom, click, and here we go. So, man, I really appreciate you taking the time to jump up on him with me in a short notice. Now, I do want to be cognizant of your time because I know you got a bunch of things to do. You just left a bunch of other engagements, and I know you got some after this. So, we're going to try to keep this to about 30 minutes or less if possible, okay?
Absolutely.
Hey, man, so if you don't mind, go ahead and tell the people who you are, what you do, and then we'll kind of build up from there.
Awesome. Oh yeah, guys. So my name is Yamil Cruz. Like Cornelius said, I was in the Marine Corps. I did a total of 12 years in service in the Marines. And while I was in the Marine Corps, I actually came across an opportunity, or rather say an opportunity came across me and found me to get involved in the financial services industry. Anything has to do with insurance, investments, and loans. And so, not knowing too much about it, we decided to get involved, see where it would take us. Just kind of go on a limb, see if it was good, if it was a good fit. And yeah, it's been 8 years now, since 2014 that I've been in this industry. I started part-time, started learning the business. We've been blessed to, we were able to leave the military to make a substantially higher income. And so I decided, there's no reason for me to work for anybody else and just kind of work for myself and for my family. And so we've been doing that since 2014. We came in full time in 2017. I left the military. And so, this is what we've been doing since.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. So I started years ago. As a matter of fact, this dude put me on, and man, for y'all that know me, man, I'm a hustler. I love learning about business. I love growing. I love developing myself. So when he put me on game, man, my first question was, man, listen, how do I get to the top? You know what I mean? Give me the secrets, tell me what I need to know. And what's impressive is, man, a lot of times when you go to people about business, they're reluctant to give you the information you need to succeed. But not only did him, but his entire team and staff, man, decided to help me out. And before you know it, I was getting promoted within the team myself. And unfortunately, I left the state of California and I moved on to a couple more states. However, I ended up getting licensed in California, Florida, and Tennessee. I'm not practicing right now because I'm not under a life insurance broker or anything like that. But hey, Yamil, do me a favor, man. Kind of tell the people how they can get into this world if it's something they're interested in, and then what company you represent. What was it like starting for you? And I know you climbed that ladder, man. You're gonna continue to climb that ladder. But if you don't mind, man, walk us through the process.
Well, getting involved with a company like the one that I'm with, it's really easy. It's about finding somebody that's already in the business. I work with Primerica Financial Services. So, it's the largest independent company in the United States as far as the amount of agents that we have right now. And it's really exciting because when you get to work with somebody or when you want to get involved in this industry, the first thing is that you got to find somebody that's already doing it, right? I think that one of the greatest secrets of success, that it's not a secret at all, is that if you find people that are already doing something significant with their lives, 9 times out of 10, they are willing to teach you what they're doing and they have no issue doing so. And this is the reason why, and I found this out the hard way, is that you can have the best system in the planet, but if you don't implement it and take action on it, there's just no way that you're going to make it happen for you, right? So, we have no issue telling people how things are done because very few people decide to take action on it, right? Sadly, I hope everybody did, and I wish everybody did, but that's not the case. So the way that you get involved into this industry is, first of all, find, for lack of better words, we'll call them a sponsor, somebody that will sponsor you into the business. They'll take you under their wing, teach you how it's done. You got to get licensed. We're professional licensed people. So, there's like a lot of things, for example, that we cannot even say on video and social media because we're so regulated by the government. But the reason why we make so much money is also because we have that structure that supports what we do in business, So everything that has to do with, like I said, insurance, investments. We recently started doing loans with the largest loan provider in the United States. You'll go and research which one it is. We're Welcome Mortgage. So it's really exciting to be working with these companies because since we happen to be the largest in them as far as the amount of agencies that we have in the company, other companies want to partner with us and then get their business to the next level too. So that's how you get involved. So if you're a company and you want to maybe grow whatever you have, whatever you're doing, whatever service or product that you provide, hey, go directly to Primerica, walk to their doors, tell them, I do this, I did that, and they might be able to, help you out or willing to listen to you if it's something that it's within our values of as a company. And if you're a person that you have an entrepreneurial spirit, you're looking to make more money, change your situation around either part-time or full-time, find a local office, or you can just reach out to somebody like me, for example. I'm all over in social media. You can find me with Leaders Make Leaders literally everywhere, or somebody, for example, even like Cornelius, that he already knows people in the industry that can help you with that. And that's it. There's a saying that says that your network equals your net worth. So just connect with the people that you know that have what you want, and then they'll be able to help you and guide you through that process.
Yeah, that's, hey man, 100%. One of the most valuable things that I learned while I was working with this company and working with the team, not only did they give me some chapelinas for the very first time, but one of the most important things that I think I took, and as a lesson that I tell everybody, even on my YouTube channel and stuff right now, and something I'll continue to tell not only your youth, but our peers and people a lot older, is that I remember sitting in one of the meetings that we had, and one of the things that was said was people who don't understand business will spend the rest of their life working somebody else, making them richer.
Absolutely.
And like I was already a hustler, I was already about to grind, but I think that took me to another level, right? Because when you think about it, that's truly what it is. Like I go to a job, I'm working 9 to 5, or whatever my hours are. I'm working 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, and I'm giving whatever effort I'm giving. But how much further could I potentially get by doing that for myself? Yeah, that may, for some sales jobs and stuff like that, you contract, so it's not so much that you get paid by the hour, right? But it's based off of your performance, what you do, and stuff like that. Now, I think though, and correct me if I'm wrong, the value and the benefit from what you can do being an independent is you can get so much further, right?
Yes.
One of the things that I started looking at, and again, no offense to anybody who's working on a job, right? Because without employees, we can't have businesses, right? So I'll just put it out there. So I appreciate every last one of y'all for whatever respective role you play in this world. But for individuals like myself and Yamil, that's kind of more so what I'm touching base on right now. So working on a job, they'll tell you that, hey, you're only worth $15 an hour. You're only worth $10 an hour, right? So how is that different with what you do?
Well, look, right now, most people out there, they trade money for time, right? And I hate to use the word slavery, but, I'm a part of my descendancy. It's from Africa. My great grandfather, he was an African slave and he came over here. And so back then, people, in that position, they didn't have a choice, right? They had to work towards their freedom. So what happened is, as the years went by, we abolished slavery and everything. What happened was they converted slavery into something else and they called it a job, right? And so they tell people, look, we're still gonna keep you slave. We're just not gonna call it that. We'll call it a job. And all we're gonna do is we're going to trade, money for time. So if you want freedom, then you have to work less hours, but you're also gonna make less money, right? And we're gonna pay you less money for that. And if you want to have money, then you have to trade more time in and get give up your family time, give up your freedom, the things that you want to do, your passions, and then go out and climb maybe the corporate ladder and then make that happen. But the beauty of what happened, probably in the last 10 years or so, is that I call this the era of the entrepreneur, right? We're in the side hustle generation where everybody's now thinking, okay, how can I make more money and not be tied up to a job and trading time for money? And that is in you building a business. And so the biggest difference of what people are doing on the 9 to 5 that with what I do is that I can go out there and help out somebody and make a few $100s in about an hour or so of work. And you go to a job and you work an entire day and you barely make 100. And so you get to think, okay, is it worth it for me to be on a place where I'm getting, my back breaking in and I'm working really hard and I'm still kind of like working as a slave because I have no freedom. I had to ask permission to go to the bathroom, to eat, to have some lunch. Is it worth it for me to work 8 hours, 12-hour days and barely make $100 in a single day? Or is me working maybe a little harder for a shorter amount of time and making more money for the same hour of work that I would have made only $10 or $12 at a job worth it? To me, it was a no-brainer, right? I said, okay, if I'm already working hard, for example, I was in the military, and I think we can all agree that the military is one of those places where you work hard. You know, you show up, you gotta show up in the morning, 5:30. You know, you gotta work out, then you gotta do, you gotta do 7 a.m. accountability, and then you gotta stay there until 6 p.m. sometimes to do more accountability. You know, and if you had a good command, maybe you got out at 4:30. You know, a little earlier, 4:30, 5:30, but you had to be there. There was no, oh, I'm just gonna go and go to the beach now. You know, like today I just don't feel like working, I'm gonna go to the beach. You had to go and you had to show up. And the moment that you didn't, then you got cut, you got in trouble, right? Then on a typical job, what happens is, you know, if somebody says, hey, you know, I don't want to go to work today, I don't feel like it, I want to go to the beach with my family. Well, good, because if those 8 hours that you didn't spend at your job, we're gonna make you $80 today, say goodbye to those $80. There's just no way that you can do it. Then you get into this other mode where, you know, Robert Kiyosaki talks about the cash flow quadrant, right? How to make money. And he says there you're an employee, you start there, right? The next step of that is you become self-employed. When you work with a company, for example, like mine, you start as a self-employed person. See, what you're doing as a self-employed person is you're trading your skill set for money. Therefore, because you have a higher value to the marketplace, you also get to make a lot more money in less time. See, what it would take somebody to make maybe in a week, I can do it in an hour. Why? Because our skills, our market value is a lot higher because we have a skill that we bring to the market. Then from there, you turn into a business owner, right? Business owner is the next step of the ladder. When you're self-employed, you want to create a system that you can teach to other people. Guess what? When you have a system, you can teach the system, and then the system will pay you money whether you show up or not. That's called residual income. That's what a business will do. And then eventually, when you make enough money so that the money starts making you money, you become what is called an investor, right? So the beauty again of what we do in this industry is that you start as a self-employed person, but you have the opportunity to eventually become a business owner, you know, make a ton of money in residual income by leveraging your time, leveraging your system. You know, that is actually called leverage income, by the way. If you guys didn't know, just Google it. It's called leverage income. And then you get to make a lot of money and then have a lot of freedom at the same time. You stop trading time for money, and then now you're trading skills or quality time for even more money. Best example that I can use for that, brother, it's McDonald's, right? You know, it's a great story. If you guys also watch the movie The Founder, great movie for you guys to watch. I know it's here in YouTube, right? You can probably Google it. And that movie tells the story of how the system was built. See, it was all a system. Did Ray Kroc have to be on every single McDonald's for it to work? No. He said, this is how it works. I'm going to give you my system and I'll sell you this little packet. As long as you follow it, you're going to make money. And if you guys don't know this, a McDonald's operator today, you know, a franchise owner, they only make roughly about $60,000 to $70,000 per location per year, by the way. So people that think, oh, McDonald's owners make a ton of money, they really don't. They have a really high, you know, amount of money that they have to come in, but they have a guaranteed, you know, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 per year per location. And then what they do is they say, well, if one pays me 80, two will pay me 160. So they reinvest their money. They open a second location, a third location, and the average McDonald's operators today has 3 to 4 locations. That's how they make the money that they make. See, if you talk about investing, for example, I saw a video that you were talking about how to invest properly. That is equal to you making 20 or 30% on an investment account just with a business. Make sense? You know, and it's something that's going to work because they're showing you that system right there. So yeah, man, you know, that's the difference right there between the employee mentality and the self-employed and business owner mentality, that you can come to a point and say, okay, I don't want to trade time for money anymore. I want to get to a point where I am trading my skill, my value for money. And therefore you can make more money in less time. Because if you have a skill set of, let's say my skill is worth $1,000 to somebody, and I say, look, you know, I can do this for you, but you just have to pay me $1,000, and I will take that away from you. I'll take it out of your plate. I'll take care of it. I'll handle it for you. just because people want to have more freedom of time, they're willing to pay that $1,000. And now I make $1,000. It takes me an hour to do it. That person gets an hour back of their life. I do an hour of work, I make $1,000, and that will be equivalent of what somebody would do at a job probably in an entire month. See, marketplace value for my skill is higher, so therefore I am compensated equally to the amount of value that I bring to it.
Oh yeah, man. I've been taking notes as you was talking, right? And that's one of the things that we have to understand. Like in the world of entrepreneurship, you start getting out into making your own business. Like what Yamil is talking about, man. Listen, when you start doing things like that, you create time, right?
Yes.
You wonder why a lot of rich people pay for things that in our minds we don't think are necessary, like a driver or somebody to clean their house or something like that. It's because that frees up more time for them to be able to focus on their craft and enhance their skills. I was talking to a guy a little bit earlier. We talked about college degree and education, right? Which is two separate things, by the way, in case you guys don't know. Self-education, in my belief, is one of the greatest forms of education that you can have, right? So taking a little bit of time, 30 minutes to an hour to 2 hours a day, just to educate yourself, watching these YouTube videos, right? Reaching out to my man Yamil, because there's so much more that he could talk about that we barely scratching the surface right now, right? So one thing I wanted to ask you, Yamil, is share with people what type of life insurance do you specialize in?
So we do term insurance is what we do for clients out there. The reason for being is because it is a very simple product. And look, guys, I'll tell you this, okay? I'm glad that you asked this question. I just came from an appointment, on my way here. And so I met with this person that had an idea of a different type of insurance that they should have. And so I spent some time explaining to him the value of having the type of a product that we go with, right? There's different types of insurances out there. There's like, whole life cash value policies, things like that. And you'll hear many opinions of why one is better than the other. We believe that you should go for term for a couple of reasons. Number one, as a business owner, it is a very duplicatable product for me to teach my guys. It's easy for them to understand it. It's black and white. There's no fine prints that you have to be reading to see if it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's a pretty straight up thing. It's a pretty straight up product. You die, we pay. That's it. That's the point of it. The second thing is that it's a lot cheaper than if you went to get any other type of insurance out there. There's a term that was invented back in the 60s that's called buy term invest difference, with kind of what we go over. And people will say that's an antiquated concept. It's really not, because the beauty of the world, especially the country that we live in, is that there's something called the marketplace, right? The stock market. And if you understand the stock market, you get to make millions of dollars. There's a reason why all of the wealthiest people on the planet have their money invested. Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, what I mean? Now he's like the guy that keeps talking about, hey, investing to like what, Dogecoins and all those other things that people are investing in, right? And even though for him it's a joke, I guarantee you he's putting money in the market, making it work for him. That's why these companies go public, because they know that people are willing to invest, and then they get to grow. And by them growing, they make their clients money too, right? So the beauty of you understanding what happens in the market is that you can put a strategy together where you can beat these other types of policies 100% of the time. I swear this on my kids. If you have somebody that's a professional in this industry and they can teach you how to utilize a good term insurance policy where you can get more money for your family in case something happens, you really leave them a good amount of money. And then you take whatever savings you're going to get from that term and you invest them into a proper account, you're going to end up way, way better off than if you went with another company that does another type of policy for you. And all of a sudden, now you find yourself paying for two things, but you're only getting one. You have really high fees. They tell you that you can take loans out of your policy, but what they don't tell you is that when you pay the loan back, there's always a negative balance on those loans that keeps carrying over, over the years. And so they sell you this beautiful picture and this beautiful concepts of, oh, you could do this, you could do that. But not everybody's going to be doing what they're saying for you to do. Not everybody is going to have, for example, an IUL or a whole life policy and take out a loan of it and buy houses and turn them into rentals, because people just don't have that time or that skill set to do it. So it's not a product that's for everybody. As a matter of fact, I don't think it's a product for anybody. because every single thing, every single feature that you can get with one of these companies, you can get with a proper financial plan. See, the reason why we had to get licensed in different industries, not just insurance, is because we are prepared to navigate people through the process of everything. And we have professionals in our office that have all types of licenses, even mortgage licenses, where we say, okay, this client needs this and he needs that. So I have this guy that's going to help him with this part. This other guy has maybe this other license. I'm going to match the client with him. Or sometimes you have one guy that has all of those licenses and they can take care of the client in a proper way. That right there is a secret, and when you understand it, when you look at things in black and white, you get to see it. It's really hard for me, and I think for any advisor, to compare apples to apples just in a presentation and just talking about it, until you sit down and then you compare paperwork to paperwork, the black and white. Because at the end of the day, look, if you go to court, guys, opinions in courts don't matter. What matters is evidence, right? So if you take this type of plan to court and then it says here in black and white, this is how it works, and then this other one says this is how it works, I promise you that having a good term insurance and investing the rest will win 100% of the time.
Yeah, man, you're dropping some nuggets right now, man. Hey, listen, I wanted to ask you another question, right? You talk about doing term insurance. What are some of the benefits to life insurance, right? Because so many people, and I remember, when I was active in the business, so many people would be like, well, I don't want to talk about death, or, so how can some people who may be closed off to that understand the greater picture, the bigger value of life insurance?
Great question. Life insurance is not about death, okay? It's actually about life, believe it or not. You see, we all have a basic need and a basic responsibility as human beings, right? If you're a son, right, let's say you're really young, you're in your 20s or 30s, you have parents, right? And if something, God forbid, were to happen to you and you passed away, you don't want to leave your parents, that debt of you passing away, whether that is car payments or rent or things like that, right? If you're maybe a little more mature, more older, you have a family together. Like in my case, I'm married, I have 4 kids. You guys can see down there, as my family right there. And so, I'm married and I have a responsibility to my kids, whether I'm alive or dead. I think that we can all agree that when we put our family together, like when you go to the altar, it says, until death do us apart. Well, it's really not until death do you apart. Because the moment that you have kids, you have responsibilities. Now that transfers over to your kids too. You got to be there no matter what. So you creating a life insurance policy for your family, having it in place, it gives you leverage. It really does. Because you say, if something happens to me, I know that I might not have, a few $100,000 in my savings yet, because it takes time to build up that kind of equity, right? That kind of income, that kind of money is saved up. But a life insurance will give your family a guaranteed amount that you qualify for. You do have to qualify for it. That will be available for them almost immediately after the moment when you pass. What that does for your family is that it does 2 things. It's going to create generational wealth. That's the first thing that it does. You can read a lot of books of companies or people that are really wealthy in the United States that they created generational wealth by doing transference of life insurance. They will tell you, and other people will tell you, oh, they use, this other type of policies that I was talking about to use that. But the reality is they use life insurance only. They were not after cash value or other types of things. They were looking at just the life insurance part of it alone, because they understood that life insurance proceeds are non-taxable and they're transferable without paying any taxes. So you take the life insurance, you invest it into a good account after that, and that's going to generate income and you never pay taxes on it. You understand the power of that, by the way? It's crazy, how you do it. So life insurance will allow you to have that safeguard that if something happens to me, my family don't have to struggle. And that's the real purpose of life insurance, by the way. We have an illustration in our business that we call the financial house. You wouldn't start building your house from the roof, right? It makes no sense. You have to start with the foundation. So what's the foundation in your family? Well, that's you. If you bring an income home, you're the foundation. You're the breadwinner. So if you die, your income also goes away. What then happens to your family? Now they have to readjust. And I was just telling the guy that I met with, let me ask you this one question. If something happened to you and you passed away, God forbid, would you think that your family will be better off with an extra $300,000 or $400,000 into their bank account, or going through the struggle of you passing away and on top of that being broke? And he says, oh no, yeah, you're right. It makes sense to have money in the account. Yeah, exactly. If you pass, I think everybody will agree that you want your family to go through that process, at least in a better financial situation that they were before your passing. So
Yeah.
that's the real purpose of life insurance.
Let me pause you on there, Yamil. So I really want to touch on something what you talked about. So for y'all that don't know, man, my mom died when I was 23 years old, right? At the time, my wife and I, we had some savings. And then one of my older brothers, between the two of us, you know, we paid for funeral expenses and stuff like that. And I had a couple friends out there that kind of helped donate some money as well when I started a GoFundMe. But at 23, right, I was faced with learning the reality that death is not something that any one of us can avoid. It will come at some point. It will come. Now, I really wonder how much things would have been different had my mom had a policy. Now, I'm not blaming her or anything like that, because maybe there's just some things that we just didn't know, which is why we're dropping these nuggets on y'all today. But had she had a policy, had she had life insurance, we wouldn't have had to come out of pocket. And then I also had some younger siblings that could have been money that could have been put into their pocket to help set them up financially. So what Yamil is talking about is not so much about you being selfish and worrying about paying for something, you know, here and there. However, it's about you being able to create a future and create a legacy for your family. And life insurance is one of those ways in which you can do that.
Yep, I agree.
So we're almost out of time. Look, Yamil, I want to talk about one last thing, man. You talked about buy term and invested difference. You talked about building a legacy, and then kind of touch a little bit on cost versus reward. You know, like paying a little bit of money now to have a long-term, you know, benefits for your family. Now, one last question I want to ask you, and this is one thing that really separates a lot of insurance companies, is what's the payout time average for your guys' company?
In our case, on 98% of the times, we're paying within 14 days. Now, understand one thing. Insurance companies, most of them have a feature called a promissory note. So when somebody passes away, there's a way for you to start working on this funeral, you know, expenses, just with a letter from the company, a letter of proof that you have it. That's exactly the way we do it. Somebody passes away, we'll take care of the family as far as the funeral side, so they can go through that process. And while they're taking care of the funerals and all like that, then we work on the rest, which is submitting, you know, the paperwork that we need to submit so that they can get the rest of the money paid out to them. And so 14 days for us is the average. You know, 96% of the cases get paid within 14 days.
Yeah, and that's tremendous, right? Because death happens. I know it's not something that we like to talk about, but it occurs. And you want to be prepared when that time comes. Don't quote me on these numbers, because everybody policy is a little bit different based off of age, based off of health and all these other factors. But I would rather pay 30, 50, or even $100 a month starting now to be able to set my family up for millions or a couple 100,000 if I were to pass away. Again, it's something that's coming for all of us. And this is one of the ways that you can prepare yourself for that. So Yamil, man, I know you kind of dropped it a little bit earlier when we first started the chat, but please go ahead and tell people how they can contact you in the event that they have any other further questions. You know, I know you have no problem being able to answer what they have.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they can find me anywhere in social media with Leaders Make Leaders all together. That's kind of like my brand. You know, you can find me there, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, or you can, you know, contact me directly. My business line, it's 760-458-0878. That's my number. It would just transfer you over to either my assistant or directly to me, depending on what I'm doing at that moment. But if you reach me there, you message me there, I can get in contact with you. And I'll tell you this, guys, you know, when you get into these YouTube meetings and these YouTube videos, I don't want you guys to think like, hey, you know what, this is not about soliciting any business from you. What we want is for you to learn the concept. You learn the concept, it doesn't matter what company you go with, you're going to be okay. But if you don't know the concept, then any company can say something pretty and then take advantage of you. So, you know, if you have any other questions, you know, anything like that, like I said, reach out to me. Leaders Make Leaders, that's me everywhere. You know, you can go to my link tree, just Google that and you'll find my information on Google. But yeah, man, you know, we're here to serve. Anything that we can do to serve the community, that's what we live for. It's all about us helping each other get better so that we can all together grow and get to the next level.
Yamil, man, I greatly appreciate it, man. This was a fantastic interview. And again, I know it was short notice. Man, but I greatly appreciate it. For all my Table of Entrepreneurs family out there, man, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be bringing more content to you like this. So go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. drop some comments below. Tell us how we did. Tell us some things that we could do better, man. And I look forward to seeing you guys again in the future.